So let me set the stage for you. Target has a problem with Black consumers. They've largely boycotted the brand since early 2025, deeply disappointed with the decisions the company made. Target leadership wants to win back the Black community. So if you're a strategist or marketing leader at Target, what do? That's what this episode is about. Target recently announced a move that, from where I sit, is designed specifically to start winning back the Black community. An exclusive collaboration with Jay-Z. Now, this is especially relevant because a lot of brands are going to want to win or win back specific communities. Digging into how Target is tackling this problem is relevant to you regardless of your category. So we're going to get into the approach Target is taking beyond upping its media rise to reach the Black community, which they've already started doing again. We're going to get into how consumers are actually responding to this Jay-Z collaboration and the broader lessons for you right after this short break. When a buyer asks AI for a solution like yours, does your business show up? Most companies have no idea, and by the time they find out, they've already lost the deal to someone who did. HubSpot AEO helps you show up in those moments with the right answers buyers are looking for before the first click, before the first form fill. That's the moment HubSpot AEO is built for. Check out HubSpot.com, the agentic customer platform for growing businesses. So here are some of the details of Target's collaboration with Jay-Z. It's an exclusive collector's edition of his iconic album, Reasonable Doubt, to celebrate its 30th anniversary. It'll include white vinyl, premium packaging, collectible inserts, all designed to appeal to hip-hop fans and collectors alike. On paper, it's a really strong cultural play. But right now, Jay-Z is catching the heat for teaming up with Target in the middle of a boycott that many in the Black community haven't called off. In case you don't have this context, in early 2025, Target rolled back a lot of its DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion commitments. Pastor Jamal Bryant, who is part of the Black community, called for what he called a fast, which is in essence a boycott of Target. Now, in March of this year, a year after he called for the boycott, Pastor Bryant publicly announced that the boycott was over. From his perspective, Target had made enough progress on its financial commitments, including investing more than $2 billion in Black-owned businesses, and so he thought that was enough to end what he called the fast. A lot of Black consumers disagreed. They never signed off on that ending, and they're still clear about why. This was never just about a product or a deal. It's about holding firm to the values they feel like Target turned away from. That gap between what a brand says is resolved and what its customers have actually decided is what a lot of marketers underestimate. And that's exactly where some brand strategies tend to get messy. So for consumers, here's what that gap actually comes down to: whether the brand still represents what it said it stood for. To be fair to Target, they have reinstated some financial commitments, including the $2 billion pledge to Black-owned businesses. But the same consumers pointing to that also point to what's still missing: minority hiring initiatives, third-party accountability, consistent support for Pride programming. Partial restoration doesn't repair a full breach. It just proves the brand knows it broke something. Here's a lesson underneath all of this for you. Trust isn't a sentiment to manage, it's a contract to keep. When a brand violates that contract, the reflex is almost always to communicate its way back. A new campaign, a high-profile partnership, something that changes the conversation. A Jay-Z collaboration is exactly that instinct. It's smart marketing aimed at the wrong problem. And to the consumers who are watching closely, it can feel a lot like when a company throws disgruntled employees a pizza party instead of addressing what's actually wrong. You don't rebuild a broken contract with better content. You rebuild it by showing over and over again that the terms are back in place, that the values are aligned again. Until that happens, every cultural placement, no matter how cool, no matter how in the culture it feels, reads as deflection to the audience that's actually paying attention. Okay, I've got another podcast recommendation for you. It's I Digress, hosted by Troy Sandage, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. I Digress helps eliminate complexity, complications, and confusion in your business with frameworks and strategies to achieve scalable and sustained success. Two really cool episodes that I think you should definitely check out are episode number 145, Which Growth Stream is Quietly Costing You Revenue in Your Business, and episode 146, Your Funnels Aren't Enough to Drive Growth Anymore. The shift from pipelines to pathways is how you win. Listen to I Digress wherever you get your podcasts. Brand finds itself in a situation like this, the first question leadership usually asks is, how do we change the story? That's the wrong question. The better one is, does our behavior match what we say we're about? If your customer base includes people who are paying just as much attention to your hiring, your programming, your vendor commitments, and your community presence as they are to your ads, your marketing cannot outrun your operations. The people most disappointed by Target weren't confused about the brand's intentions. They were specific about what was missing and what would actually count as repair. That specificity is information. When brands treat it like noise to manage instead of a map to follow, they make the problem worse. History backs this up as well. The Montgomery bus boycott didn't end because the city rolled out a feel-good campaign. It ended when segregation on public buses was ruled unconstitutional. The core injustice was addressed. The United Farm Workers' Great Boycott lasted years before it resulted in real wage increases and better working conditions for farmers. And most recently, Adidas ended its partnership with Kanye West after his anti-Semitic comments in direct response to public pressure and boycott calls. Different moments, different stakes, same principle. Boycotts end when there's meaningful action that lines up with what people have actually been asking for. Symbolic gestures, even culturally relevant ones, don't replace that. In some cases, they extend the conflict because they signal the brand still doesn't fully understand what's at the heart of the issue. Now, most brands will never deal with a national boycott or headlines about their values, but that doesn't mean this doesn't apply to you. Every day, your customers are making quiet, values-based decisions about where to spend their money. They don't always announce it, they just stop buying. That doesn't show up as a neat line item on a report. It looks like the customer who doesn't come back. The segment that keeps engaging but doesn't convert. The loyalty that should be there and isn't, and no one quite knows why. The brands that protect themselves from moments like this aren't the ones with the splashiest crisis response. They're the ones whose operations, partnerships, and marketing are already in alignment. So there's less of a gap for a moment like this to expose. Alignment isn't a campaign. It's what makes your campaigns work. Is this Jay-Z collaboration enough to win back the Black community? I'll be honest, I don't think that's actually the question Target should be trying to answer. Because no campaign, no partnership, no matter how culturally on point, fixes a trust problem that was created by behavior, by values misalignments. You don't market your way out of a values gap. You've got to bring values back into alignment between your brand and the customers that you want to serve. And the only way to do that is through your actions. You bring your values back into alignment with the customers you want to serve and let the marketing reflect what's already true. I'll be watching how this plays out, whether sales tell a different story than social media does, whether this becomes the moment that actually shifts sentiment or just another headline in a longer story that isn't over yet. If you're watching this too, I'd love to know what you think. Is this smart marketing, bad timing, or both? Does it hit the mark, or does Target have more work to do? Send me a message. You can find me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. And if you're sitting in a similar spot, wondering whether there's a gap between what your brand says and what it actually does, that's exactly the kind of friction the Friction Finder Growth Audit is built to service. I'll drop details about the Friction Finder Growth Audit into the show notes for you, as well as my email, and we can get the conversation going from there. Until next time, remember, growth accelerates when you remove friction for your customers and for your business. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you soon.